This podcast shines light on strong and talented women who excel and persevere in life while bathing in abundant self love. So, if you're ready to keep it real, level up in all your inner work, creative business, and community impact, then you've come to the right place because we provide you with content that helps your soul glow and your mind grow. Thank you for pressing play. Let's dive in.
Hey, STUK community, STUK founder Brett here with another episode, and I have Tazeen here with me. Hey, Tazeen.
Hi.
And today we want to talk about keeping your creative spark alive, um, especially in chaotic times, in stressful times, in a pretty mentally ill world, like where a bunch of things are going on, so much violence in the United States, a lot of racism, a lot of sexism. And so like after you come out of your creative block, as me and Tazeen have discussed in a previous episode with us both, which I highly recommend listening to because it was a powerful, powerful episode. But how do reignite that creative spark after you're, out of that like block and you're like, okay, I know I feel like I'm moving again. I feel like I'm flowing again, but like how do I keep that spark alive? And how do I not let my environment, living in America, or people around me, be it friends, families, doubters, haters, whatever it may be, coworkers, people at your job, bosses, whatever it is. Like how do I not let people rain on my creative parade? And how do I, like just keep going and stay lit every day? Because here at STUK Designs, we definitely believe in like, keeping it lit, staying up and staying lit in self-love and self-worth every day. And we believe that self-love isn't some narcissistic thing. It's a deep soul connection that you have to yourself. It's falling in love with the light of your own soul. So we are here to talk about this light in the form of a, creative spark. And so yeah, how, Tazeen, have you been, and how has like your creative flow been? Do you feel like you're out of like, your creative block, or how do you feel?
Yeah, for sure. These past few days have been, I wouldn't say the best or the worst either. So it's kind of a transitional stage, which I feel like we should talk about a lot more
Absolutely.
because just addressing your lowest of lows or your highest of highs, and talking about how to get from that place A to place B,
Mm-hmm.
um, that isn't exactly how, it's not really realistic. There are phases in between, the transitional stages between A and B, where you keep going kind of back and forth, and there's a lot of ups and downs, just like it is with healing, just like it is with any other process. The creative process is also one, and sometimes, like you said, we feel like our creative wheels are not really spinning, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there can be many reasons for that, right? There could be external factors or internal factors. External factors, like you said, you gave the example of America, and I'm pretty sure a lot is going on around the world, here in India, in other parts of the world. So um, there are things that are out of your control, beyond your control. Things that are happening around you, obstacles that you're facing, and all these different things that are happening, which are impacting you mentally, sometimes physically, yes, and that can also have mental implications. So either it is one of those things, or it is a lot of those internal factors, the pressure that you're putting on yourself, the doubts that you're not good enough, or the work that you're doing, the creative work that you're doing is not good enough, or that you're possibly burnt out, or because you've been constantly pushing yourself to the limit. So there are a lot of things that can cause you to get off track and not be able to kind of find that creativity, and like feel that you've lost it. So the biggest thing, going towards it, like what I focus on as well, is trying to, first of all, the first step is to find the reason, find why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, and why do I feel like I'm not being creative? Why do I feel like things are not coming to me the way they used to before? And once you find the reason, it is very, um, from there you can take on how to like, cure that. It's kind of like, a medical diagnosis. If you know what it is, if you know what's wrong, that's when you're able to like get medication for it or you'll get therapy for it. So
Hmm.
it's pretty much the same thing in this situation as well. When you find the reason and then you can start working on that, right? If you're going through a difficult time, right? Like, Brett and I, we've been talking on and on about these things, and, we've each been going through things, individually and, our company as well. And I'm sure people around the world are also facing these problems either in their work or, in their personal lives. And here we're focusing more on creativity. So if you are artists or authors or dancers or, belong to these creative fields, right? And you're going through a rough time, right? You're going through a
Hmm.
very difficult patch. The way each person reacts is very different, right? Now, it doesn't mean that
Yes.
one way is better than another, or like one way is the right way. It's not that. It's just that you need to find what works for you. And if it works for you, it's right for you, right? Some people find inspiration from that pain, right? And then they
Yes.
use it to fuel their creativity. You might have heard of many artists and many authors and, so many others in this creative field who use their pain to create. Like historically, we've heard of all these big artists who, were very troubled at the time, and authors who've led, not so happy lives, but, that can work for you. But for others, they sometimes use this creativity, this creative work as a distraction from their pain. So if you cannot find inspiration from your pain, perhaps you can think of your creative work as a way to distract yourself from your difficult situations. Because at the time that you're working, right, you're in this creative flow, you forget all about your troubles. And in that moment, it's just you and it's just your creativity taking form. So, if you remind yourself of all those things, it's gonna help to like start pushing, start getting the wheels. If you just sit down and start to think about, is my work coming from a place of, am I being inspired from my current situation? If is my, current like agony is going to produce, like, can I replicate it on a canvas, right? Is it going to produce a work of art? Or do I want to paint something that is going to help me distract from this? Do I want to paint
Right.
something bright, something colorful, or just the same thing in terms of writing, or the same things that, in terms of like, I'm not a dancer, but I know I've heard dancers talk about, how they use it to like express themselves, and singers and all those things. So if you think of it this way, you can kind of find a ground where you'll be able to like start and, step into it. What about you, Brett? What have you been doing these past few days, and how have you been like dealing with this situation?
Yeah, like as I've kind of discussed in the previous episodes, my previous solo episodes, if you guys want to listen back, it's just that I've definitely experienced many, creative blocks and hurdles in my own life. But I've really been able to lately, and as of late, move through things with more grace. I think that the more kind of like creative blocks you have and are able to maneuver out of, like it becomes easier for you to just take them with grace and realize that it's all part of the journey. It's all part of the adventure that is this like self-love creative artistry journey, and it's all a beautiful part of the walk and of the path. Um but I think that as of late in these past few days, also because during this time and space we're in right now, it is actually Mercury retrograde, which can be a little confusing and chaotic. I've actually chosen to journal because journaling has really helped me organize my thoughts, especially, first thing in the morning. And I actually use the STUK manifestation journal, which I might actually change the name to self love journal because I believe that self love is also an aspect of manifestation in itself. But I've really been delving into that journal, and it the way I created it, it has a space for, morning gratitude. It has a space for a body scan. It has a space for setting your daily intention, for and then for like brain dumping, just 3 pages of brain dumping whatever is on your mind. And when you can like get all of that clutter, that gunk, that junk, that chaos just out of your head and on the page first thing in the morning before you step into the beauty of your day, it like is a clearing, and it clears a lot of debris, a lot of interference that the world creates. And so that's been really healing for me. Like, I haven't been in a creative block for a while, like for months and months, but um just the way in which the world is right now, and the way in which so many people that I had been surrounded by just like weren't addressing their own mental health and weren't doing any like inner work. And that can really cause, who you surround yourself with is important. And it can cause weird interference if you're kind of just often too close with people that are not really focused on on inner growth, on their own like healing or inner growth or self-love journeys or journeys of consciousness, etc. um, so I just find that grounding tools like our journal are so, so very important. Also, I've been going out in nature a whole lot with my dog. And since I'm preparing for my solo art show, I've been having to do, like a lot of concept sketches, a lot of painting, a lot of in studio work, and getting out in nature and taking some, breaks, like taking some park days instead of being in the studio all day, has really helped me ground down and center myself and really just like feel in my body and feel grounded in my body. Which again, creates a more clearing space to create from, because I believe that the clearest space to create from is that of no mind. That's why I have on my wrist this like Zen Buddhist circle. It's just like an image of a circle, but that is the representation of what Zen Buddhists consider like an empty mind. And they say that, yeah, the clearest space to create from is that. So I've been trying to just really be present in these past few days, few weeks, this time that I've been preparing for my solo show. I try to eliminate as many thoughts as I can, because then I I believe that like so much more opening happens and so much more creativity and spark, that creative spark can flow out of you again when you have like less traffic, in the mind or all around you. And then, once you can like get into that flow, that creative flow space, and flow state is such like an idyllic like, space to really get to as an artist. I think it's a space that every artist, every creative wants to be in, because when you're in that state of just like flowing creatively with like no thoughts and you're just in the zone, then that's where creativity is really an outlet, and it's like otherworldly. It takes you into this other zone. And like Tazine was saying, like it's like you gotta also make a choice, after your creative spark is going and your flow is going, because there's always going to be hurdles. There's always gonna be stressful situations that arise. The world is crazy right now. There's always gonna be something in the news, something someone said, something someone does to try to put you down, to make you feel less than you are, whatever it may be. And I think that so, on those days, on the days when it's super stressful, or like you feel like everything's going wrong, or why is this happening, or why is the world like this, or why do I feel kind of like sad, or whatever it may be, then I think, yeah, like using art as um a tool to alchemize that pain into beauty is such like, it's such fuel. And you can use the pain as like fuel also in that way. And for such a long time as an artist, like I could not create when I felt like heartbroken, or like when someone had just broken up with me or sad or whatever. And now it's like I'm just in such an evolved space as an artist that it's like almost I kind of like embrace the challenge of days when I'm feeling kind of like sad or kind of like low. Okay, well, let me take this out on the canvas. Let me put this on the on the paintbrush and see what happens and see what comes out of it. So I think that it's really, an amazing thing to be able, and it's an amazing, like, superpower, I think, that artists have to be able to, like, alchemize, pain into beauty. And I guess the kind of, like, last thing that I've been doing in these last couple days, because well, I always meditate every morning, and not all the time, but I try to meditate before I go on social media. And yeah, that's been helping a ton. And meditating really early is also super helpful. Like I've been getting up at 5 a.m. and most days I take Sundays off, self love Sunday, and it happens to be a self love Sunday today. But it's like I think that when we can meditate and really check in with ourselves first thing in the morning before we start our crazy day, and in the earlier it is, more still the world seems, and the greater connection I think you have to yourself, to God, to source, whatever you want to call it, the universe, and it's just like a beautiful it creates a beautiful opening for the day. So, yeah, I'd say, like, meditation, journaling, nature, alchemizing pain into beauty, pain into fuel. But to Tazeen, I know that you, being Muslim, get up at around 5 and do prayer and etcetera. And do you feel like that's part of your kind of, that keeps your creative spark alive or ignited?
Well, for sure. I think for us and for a lot of people, like, for example, I'm Muslim and for people belonging to like other religions who actually follow their religions. For us, prayer is very much a part of our daily lives. Like for us as Muslims, we pray 5 times a day. So it's not just, it has like, um, it's like a gift, right? And it
Yes.
helps us in almost every single area. So it's not just helping me to keep my creativity alive. It helps me to maintain discipline in my life. It helps me to, understand commitments and honor commitments and to keep my spirits high and to understand that there is a safe space for me whenever I'm feeling hurt, whenever I'm feeling cornered by the world. And I know that if I just, if I retire to that space, I know that I will be able to um, feel like I can conquer things, regain my strength and rest and just feel one with myself again. So all of it helps me do a lot of like mental work. And, when I pray and, ask for whatever I want, ask for success in the places that I want it to be, ask for, all the blessings. And it just makes you feel so loved. It makes you feel very blessed and that really helps your mental state. That really brings you peace. And so even if it is for a few, moments in a day, and of course it's not that once you've prayed, you're like, oh, I've achieved Zen and nothing in this, nothing through the day is gonna shake me. It's not really like that. But it still helps. Even in those few moments, you're able to like recharge yourself and brace yourself for like whatever is to come next throughout, in the day. Whatever obstacle I may be facing, it's like I can have like this safe zone where I go back and recharge and, gain the strength to face all those things. And just the same as for like my creativity as well, because it is so important to have that kind of, like I spoke about honoring commitments, create on, being a creative person is also like, it takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of discipline to actually be able to go through with your tasks because often a lot of creative people, sometimes they work for themselves, right? Where
Hmm.
you have like businesses of your own, especially for people who are either like small business owners. Some of them, yes, of course, you can like find jobs where you're answerable to other people, but sometimes you're just answerable to yourself, and sometimes that gets a little, you're like, okay, you can get a little laid back, and you
Hmm.
feel like maybe it's fine if I don't get this done today, and it's fine if I don't do this now, which is okay. But if there's a deeper psychological issue related to that, if you are actually depressed or if you're actually going through something bigger, I think that having that level of commitment to your creativity, to your work, to be like, I need to get this, I need to resolve this. I need to understand what I need. If I need to rest, I need to rest, and then I need to get back up on my feet to be able to go through with this and to be able to actually keep this promise that I've made to myself. A lot of times, creativity is that. Creativity is a promise that you've made to yourself, because
Yes.
creativity is it's just you and yourself, and there's nobody else. So I think that you need to really be able to understand that. And the most important thing I feel is for all of us creatives, right? We've, there's a reason why we began what we began, right? So remember why you do what you do. Sometimes we forget the reason why we started all of this, right? There was a purpose behind it, whether it was finding happiness, whether it was spreading a message or becoming successful or feeling fulfilled or whatever your reason may be, just remember that. Remind yourself, okay, this is why I started. This is the reason I'm here right now. And most importantly, above all, remember your love for it. Remember your love for this, the work that you're doing. Now, the main reason you're here in a creative field is because you love what you do. Now, of course, just because you love it doesn't mean that it is not hard. You can love what you do and still find it difficult at times and frustrating, but you keep going because of the love, right? So remind yourself of that love. You love it, and so you're here. So claim that. And, all of this is just going to help you to reclaim your inner creative spark, even on days where you feel like you've lost your creativity and you're not, I'm not painting the way I used to. I'm not writing the way I used to. It's not the same as it was, but you feel that because you cannot see, because your vision is blocked by either, like I spoke earlier in this episode, either because of some internal factors or some external factors. But at the end of the day, your creativity is still there. Like I often say on this podcast, right? Your talent is there. Your skills are there. And nothing in this world, no matter what anybody says or does to you, no one can take that away from you. Your talent and your skill and your capability is what you're going to have throughout your life. Your will is what you're going to have throughout your life. And nobody can take that from you. Nobody can shake it, right? Sometimes you might feel that you've lost your way, but it's all still there. It's kind of like, think of it in a way that whenever you are going through a difficult time, all of that kind of just retires and like shrinks into a tiny little box in your mind because it's all too scared. It's all too scared to express itself and to come out. But you need to be able to open that box again and bring out all of that talent and all of that skill and all of that creativity and put that into action because it's all still there. It's never going to go away. So a lot of people, this is what they fear, when things are not coming to them, when ideas are not coming to them, we immediately start to, essentially freak out. It has happened to me before too. Like, why can't I think of something good? Why isn't something good coming of it? But I think in that moment, just being like, it's okay if things are not coming to me right now. I understand it. It's gonna come in time. It's gonna be there. It is there in my head somewhere. It's swimming in my brain
Hmm.
somewhere. It's just not found its place yet. It's not found the outlet yet. And when it's time, and when I've done all the inner work that I need to do, it will find its way out again. Maybe it could be in a sudden like burst of inspiration, or it could come gradually, but either ways, I think having the patience to be able to deal with yourself is very important. A lot of times we're patient with other people, right? We give so much care and so much love to the people around us, that we love and that we care for. And we're very patient with them when they're going through something difficult. But when it comes to ourselves, we can sometimes forget that. We're often most hard on ourselves than we are on anybody else around us. So it's kind of like treat yourself like you would treat a best friend, with that kind of patience and that kind of compassion. And if you do that, and if you sit with yourself and think of all these things and, listen to inspirational podcasts like this one, for example, or any other people that you like to hear. I know I have a lot of, I listen to a few podcasts, sometimes early in the morning or like late at night while taking a walk. You could bring us on your walk if you're going out for a walk and you think, hey, what
Yes.
should I listen to? We're here. We're always here. You can listen to this episode. You can listen to the previous one, like Brett said, where we talk about coming out of creative block. And maybe you'd find something there, something for yourself, something you can relate to. Um, yeah, then that's it. You should be good,
Mhm.
but with work and with patience. That is what I would
Yeah.
have to say.
Excuse me. Yeah, I agree with all of that completely. Um, I think that what you said about remembering your why is so valid. And I think that that is also a grounding tool in and of itself. And, I do that practice often. And I think that, like, remembering your why is also like a great journaling practice. I think it's a great way to, you know, um, just spark that writing, like bit of creativity also. And it's just like when you can remember your why, it's like you're like, oh, okay. And it's just epiphanies tend to flow in. I think also, like Tazine said before, asking like, why am I feeling this way? Tapping into your body, like really delving into yourself, because if you really truly remember who and what you are, then you remember that all answers to everything, all love, all the answers that you're externally looking for are already within you. Everything you need, every resource, every tool, all of this is all just within. But so often we don't take the time and space and show up for ourselves in the way of just delving into our souls, and asking like, what does my soul need today to feel good? What do I need to feel good? Because, we're in this like culture, this world, and in America, especially, Tazine is, Mumbai, India, but like it's the same kind of like capitalistic way in which we're like obsessed with the external image of things, just obsessed with like what the next person externally has, but so few people are actually willing to go within and discover how to achieve and how to get those things for themselves. And often people just think like it's some quick fix, like, staying in your creative groove, staying in your creative flow, staying in flow state or whatever. Like, like I can just do this once, do hit these affirmations up once, and like, and everything is gonna just be perfect. But it just,
Like magic.
yeah, like magic, but it's not. There's no quick trick or quick fix to self-love, to the healing journey, to becoming an artist, to becoming a writer, a dancer, a singer, a DJ, whatever it is that you creatively do, it's like it's just progressive, and it's brick by brick, one foot in front of the other, and it's about staying in the present moment and really just falling in love with each and every task that you have in this present now moment. Because if you view each project, each creative project, each task you do as the most important task of your life, it creates so much clarity, because it actually is, if you really think about it, because there is no time outside of this here and now moment that we are all now in. Like, where are you? You are right here. What time is it? It is right now. There's nothing outside of that. And when you can really sit in that and ground, within that space, it creates such an inner spark, an inner creative flow, and it creates so much clarity to like push forward. But I think that, like, this morning, in fact, I before I hopped on this podcast, I meditated but also listened to affirmations. And affirmations are so powerful because they rewire our minds, they rewire that negative self-talk within our own mentalities and help us emerge out of it and into a space of more positive self-talk. But even this in and of itself is progressive, and it takes time, and it takes practice, and it's repetition, repetition, like yoga or working out, which I love yoga. But even that, it's just like it's a progressive practice. Nothing is like there's no cheat codes, there's no quick fix. It's just like, consistency and it's discipline. Um, but, and even within that discipline, I think, like, we have to just give ourselves grace within it and realize it's all just a beautiful journey, and we're all just here learning and growing together, and it doesn't have to be so harsh or hard, and we don't have to take ourselves so seriously and so harshly as the world wants us to take ourselves. And I think especially on Sundays, like, as this is I said before, a self-love Sunday, I try to remind myself that, like, rest is productive, and that is an affirmation in and of itself. And when you can fall in love with that rest, and when you can fall in love with whatever the present moment is presenting to you, it just gives you so much inner peace, and you can just fall in love with yourself in new ways as you embrace falling in love with the journey. And if you can look at every day and each day as like a fun adventure, like it gets to be a fun adventure, it gets to be this fun game of life that you get to like play and create, as this like superhero of a creator, then it's just like life becomes so much more expansive. And when you really are falling in love with each and every task as you do and seeing it like, oh my gosh, this is the most important project of my life. Like this tiny little task that I have to do, this taking the laundry out of out of the machine and folding it up is the most important task of my life right now. Um,
Goodness, yes.
if you can tap into those tiny little mundane moments and give spark and creative flow and fun to that, like then you can find, oh my gosh, so much gratitude and so much love and so much compassion for like greater moments that happen in your life. Like the other day I had to do laundry and I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be so boring. But I was like, let me make it fun for myself. Let me put on some Afro beats. Let me crank up the music. Let me pour myself some wine. Let me light some candles and make it fun and fold and dance. And it doesn't just have to be so bleak, like because we are all just like beautiful souls. And so we have the power to bring that creative spark to any area of our lives, even if it's freaking laundry.
Exactly. Bring more fun to your lives. Yes.
Exactly. Romance your life. I say that
Yes.
often. And and I think that when we can fall in love with all of the small, little, even mundane bits of the journey, then we can start to, really detach from outcome and detach from the outcome of creativity. And it helps us put less pressure on ourselves and less stress on ourselves and really breathe in the here and now moment and like just be like, okay, you know what? I'm just here and now, and I'm just gonna enjoy the joy of this journey. And, I've just found so much peace in that. And also for you guys, I recently updated our YouTube playlists. Our YouTube is super organized now. You can find the link in our show notes. But we now have like a stuck on Reiki section, stuck on self-love, stuck on yoga, stuck on prayer, stuck on whatever it is you need to be the best and highest version of yourself and to show up as the best version of yourself every day. And I think that like also within grounding and doing more inner work and practice, you get into the space of like you're just in a space and a state of being more than just doing all the time. And it's not some like productivity rat race anymore. It's just like you're in love with your own beingness and you're in love with the beingness of life itself. And I think that is what the creative spark is. And that's really what flow state is, no matter what it is you're flowing with or flowing in or doing. So
Exactly. That is so,
yeah.
so, so true. So well said.
Yeah. So I think, I guess we can wrap up this chat. But I mean, I want you guys all to remember your why, but I think more importantly, to remember who and what you are, and that you
Yeah,
are a beautiful soul at your core and at your essence. And you are not your hair, you're not how skinny you are, or how, or whatever it might be externally, that is presenting itself. You're not, it doesn't matter about your height, your weight, your appearance, or whatever. It's deeper than that. Like, the creative spark is deeper than that. This journey is deeper than that. Like, self-love isn't some external quick fix. It's a deep internal transformative journey, but it doesn't always have to. It can be a deep journey, but, like, I think we have to remember that it can also be light and airy and free and fun. And I think
yeah,
we can take our hearts lightly and let our hearts be light. And the more that we, like, lighten up and lighten up the load, then we, can feel less stressed, and we realize that worry is only just unraveling our good. And it's just, there's no real point in it, because it's like we're infinite beings having and we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And although, the world is a bit crazy, it's like we don't have to take that on. We don't have to mirror that. We can instead mirror being in love with the beauty of our own souls. And so I hope you remember that
exactly.
you are all of these beautiful things.
Exactly. And remember that you have a beautiful mind, and that above all, whether or not whatever people say, you deserve to celebrate the beauty of your
Yes.
mind. And the people around you that love you and that truly care for you will also celebrate that with you. So just remember that, and do not ever forget that, no matter where you are in your life and what situation you're going through. Because if you remember that and you trust your mind and you trust yourself, you can get through all of the obstacles and you will come out a lot better.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're, like, ever overthinking, or you're in a crazy self-doubt, negativity mental loop, and you're trying to pull yourself out of it, I think a great way to kind of, like, yank yourself out is to breathe, first of all. Like, I like to, like, breathe in, like, maybe, like, to a count of 4 or 5, like, breathe in. Actually, let's do it all together. All right, let's breathe in. Then we're gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're gonna hold this breath for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then exhale. And then, like, after you're in that kind of space of clarity, ask yourself, what will my next thought be? And if you ask yourself this question, it's just a little mental trick, but it starts to slow down the thoughts of your mind. And especially before meditating, it's a genius trick, especially when creating, or when weird thoughts keep popping up as you're painting or as you're writing. It's just a great quick fix to shut off your mind, shut off the monkey brain chatter of your mind. I also recommend tapping into our Fempreneur Friday podcast, as we discuss a lot of, like, entrepreneurship, creative entrepreneurship tricks and, like, tips like that also. But yeah, we're so happy you guys tapped in with us again. We're glad to be back here every time. And we're just so thankful to you guys as a community, and for everyone who's been tapping in and listening and supporting. And we're so thankful for our donors, and for the amount of, like, support that we've had despite our hardships and despite creative blocks. And so thank you guys. Thank you guys all for being here.
Thank you so much. And thank you for believing in us. And know that at every step of your journey, we are also believing in you and rooting for you.
Yes, you got this. All right. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye bye.
Hi everyone, hope you liked that episode. We are all about preaching self-love and empowering women and girls around the world. Support us in our journey as we provide art supplies and many more resources to girls in Ghana through our 2 programs, the Fly Girl Initiative and Little Heartists. We are also working on hosting more Color for a Cause events, as well as our No Filter
school tours. Your help will enable this organization to work on bettering the lives of people around the world. For more information, visit our website www.stukdesigns.org.